So, Ben, you started off at the well-renowned Wallsend Boys Club, which is, for people who aren't familiar with the area, a club in Newcastle that's produced players such as Peter Beardsley, Michael Carrick, Alan Shearer. Do you think the success stories of these people who've played for that particular club kind of spurred you on to become a professional footballer?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, when you're looking at the type of players that the club produced, that was one of the biggest in Newcastle at the time, along with Cramlett and Juniors. So I'd say those two were the biggest, but certainly Wallsend, when you hear those types of names getting, into a career and making a name for themselves, it gives you kind of hope as a young lad, really.
Yeah, and then obviously you moved to West Brom from there, and then ended up eventually at Ilkeston Town, where you were Player of the Year for the 08-09 season. Off the back of this, you got to move to Derby, but how did this move materialise?
It come about. It was a bit strange, to be honest. I'd signed with an agent when I was at Ilkeston, just to kind of see if anything could come from it, get a move to a higher league or something like that. I certainly didn't expect Derby to come calling at the end of the season, but yeah, he just kind of rang me up. I think we got promoted on the last day in the playoffs, and he rang me up and said kind of that Derby were interested and they wanted to take me on. So obviously I was surprised at the time, but it was a really good move for
me. So on the back of your spell at Derby, you joined the Rotherham side in League Two. They were playing the home games when you joined, I believe, at the Don Valley Stadium. I went to the Don Valley Stadium, and putting it quite frankly, it weren't very good, was it? Do you think moving to the New York Stadium, did that galvanise you, and did that give you the extra push that you needed to get over the line from League Two into League One?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was a massive factor. Like you say, the Don Valley was. I mean, it was awful. Let's be honest. There was no atmosphere, and it just wasn't a nice place to play in. That obviously players want atmosphere, so to kind of go into that brand new stadium, it was obviously twice as big, and it was filled every week with Rotherham fans. So that was, like you say, definitely a massive push for the whole club.
The following season, you scored a second consecutive promotion into the Championship. Did you expect to go up so quickly, having just got the promotion from League Two?
No, I think we were always kind of favourites for League Two. So we always felt like we should be up there and we should be getting promoted. But when we went to League One, it was just a case of, seeing where it could take us, really. But the club had a good budget and they signed good players. So yeah, the later it got on in the season, it was kind of, let's see where this can take us.
So that season you got into the playoffs with Rotherham. It was a bit of a roller coaster of emotions for Rotherham, I suppose. You were 1-0 up in the first leg at Preston. You were pegged back by what can only be described as one of the best goals I think I've ever seen. And then you went 1-0 down at the New York Stadium in the second leg. Coming back from that, did that spur you on at Wembley, give you the belief when you were 2-0 down to Orient?
Yeah, I think there was a lot that season where we were kind of losing 1 or 2-0, and we always managed to kind of bring it back. Happened about 4 or 5 times. So even before those games, we kind of knew that if we were a goal or 2 goals down with 20 minutes to go, that it was never kind of over. And obviously the second leg summed that up perfectly for that season. But even more so, obviously the final 2-0 down at half time that was crazy to come back from that.
I remember that Rotherham team really well. It was such a good side, the likes of Agard. You gave my team a good thrashing that season, Ben. And what was you thinking when Alex Ravel unleashed that shot in the playoff final? Are you claiming the assist for that?
Yeah, every time I see the video, I always say about me putting whoever it was on the floor with a shoulder barge and then clipping it up the line. But yeah, obviously like you say, one of the best goals you've ever seen. That's Ravel's has got to be up there as well, I think, especially in the final, because it was absolutely outrageous. He certainly never did it in training or in any other game. So to obviously save it for the final was, like you say, unbelievable.
And obviously in that game, it went on to penalties. And after Lee Frecklington missed his penalty, obviously you stepped up. Is that the most pressure that you've ever felt in a football match? Yeah,
I'd probably say so. Obviously, to be fair, I was that tired that I didn't realise that Frex had missed the one before. And like I say, I was that drained and that tired that I was thinking I'm just going to smash this as hard as I can down the middle. And if it goes out the stem, then so be it. So, but yeah, obviously it was at the Leyton Orient end as well. So it was a relief to see it going.
Do you fancy yourself as a penalty taker?
I do, yeah. I took one from Morecambe earlier this season. It was just in the trophy. Went down the middle again. So, I'd always kind of put myself forward, but it's whether I get chosen or not. That's the thing.
Yeah. So, moving on after Rotherham, you moved to Fulham. How did that move come about, and what was it? What was the experience like with Fulham? You know, was it completely different to what you'd experienced with Rotherham? Obviously, a club just dropping out of the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean the jump was massive. Obviously, we were just trying to stay in the Championship, which we did with Rotherham, and then obviously to go to Fulham, even though they were down the bottom in the Championship near us for the season I joined in the season before. Like you say, they'd obviously been in the Premier League, so their expectations were really high. But yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock in terms of, you know, I was going from Rotherham to London, and you know, I was a big fish, so as you would say, at Rotherham, to then go to Fulham, where there was, you know, top players all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was just a bit of a crazy time the year that I joined.
Moving on, obviously, you reunited with Steve Evans at Gillingham. What was he like as a manager to play under?
He was difficult from time to time, as you can probably imagine from him being on the sidelines. There's obviously lots of shouting and swearing and kind of having a go at you, but I think that's just his style. You know, obviously players get used to it. Some players can take it, some players can't. But it's, you know, I always say it's kind of worked well from wherever he's gone, really, especially with Rotherham to do what we did. So that's just his style, I think.
Any funny Steve Evans stories that you can allude to?
I've got a few, yeah, but I don't think that I can be telling them on here, so I might have to save them.
Fair enough.
For another time.
Fair enough. So you're at Morecambe now. I think you're having quite a good season, to be fair. What's it been like this season? Have you found it personally?
Yeah, it's not been personally great for me. I've not really played at all, but obviously Morecambe have been doing well. Their expectations were always to kind of stay in the league and not get relegated. So to be kind of up there in the table, challenging for, you know, the playoffs is really good for the club.
Yeah, and finally, just for this part, Ben, you're 32 now. Do you feel like you've got a few more years ahead in your playing career? And you know, once you finally do hang up your boots, would you consider a move into coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that I can still play. You know, I dropped down a league this season, but it was mainly to kind of move back up north to Manchester. That's where I'm living at the minute. So I still feel I could, you know, play at a decent level. The last 2 years I've not really played, which has been frustrating. So, but yeah, that's the way football goes sometimes. But yeah, coaching, something I'm looking at as well. Started doing my badges, so yeah, I would never rule that out and kind of see what happens afterwards.